Welcome to Moonfire Magic. Today I am going to be talking about some of the Major Arcana cards from the tarot. I will be using this Rider-Waite tarot deck. If you are new to tarot or just learning, the Rider-Waite tarot is one of the most traditional decks and one of the easiest ones to learn the traditional meanings off of. This is the Radiant Rider-Waite tarot. So all the Rider-Waite tarot decks have the pictures are the same on the cards. They just have like different styles. Like the Radiant one's a lot brighter than the traditional. They have shiny ones. They have a whole bunch of different kinds, but as long as it says the Rider-Waite on it, then it's still the same deck. So today I'm going to be talking about cards 5 through 9. So I'm going to go back to, here's our Fool. I just realized it was that way. Okay, so here's our Fool card. And the Fool is, the Major Arcana is basically the Fool's journey. We are the Fool, and in our life we meet certain people, which my last video talked about the magician, the high priestess, the empress, the emperor, people that we come across starting as infants in our life. And then we have to learn the second, so the cards 5 through 9, once you've kind of learned how to manipulate things the way you want them, that's the magician, your intuition, the high priestess, your mom and your dad figures. The Fool then moves out kind of into the world a little bit and we start to learn things outside of just our family home. So here's the Fool, and after the Emperor card, he's going to come across the Hierophant. Okay, so you have the Fool, and the Hierophant is kind of like our first introduction to society. So we grow up, when we're babies, we're in our home with our family, and then let's say we start out in either a daycare or preschool or kindergarten. And when we do that, that place is an institution that is society-based. There's variations, obviously, like private versus public, but the Hierophant represents like the institutions we have. It represents society's beliefs as a whole, tradition, conventional. You can see here that he's very religious looking. If we compare that back to the High Priestess card, these kind of counter each other. The High Priestess is very intuitive and spiritual based, where the Hierophant is more ritual, traditional. This would be like going to a church service versus watching a video like this or reading a book on tarot and then kind of coming up with your own interpretations. As you can see, though, they both kind of have a like colder sort of demeanor to them. Like the Hierophant is very traditional for professional. When you get this in a reading, it could be talking about someone in your life that is a mentor. It can talk about rituals, initiations. It also speaks to, when you get this card, it can there's kind of like the sheep mentality, right? We have like the traditional, conventional ways that society tells us we should do things. So the Hierophant is a card of conformity, conforming with society's expectations, conforming with like a group mind. And when the Hierophant comes up in that sense, it's basically saying now is the time to just go with the flow, go with tradition. If you try to have, think outside the box, your ideas and such may not be accepted at this time. It's not telling you necessarily to just to be a sheep and just go along with it, but not think for yourself. You should definitely have your own thoughts and ideas. But I mean, for myself, I really like learning about all religions and all types of beliefs. And so, I mean, every now and again, I will go to a church service and listen to a sermon. And I like getting other people's beliefs and ideas and perspectives, because ultimately, you know, you need to learn some of the traditional and conventional ways, right? In order to have your own experiences, and your own intuition. And then this is going to eventually lead up to the last card I'm going to talk about today, which is the Hermit. These three kind of go together. We'll come back to that. But the Hierophant is, it's institutions, it's traditional or conventional ways of doing it. It's kind of the herd mentality, being part of the group, going with what society says. It can also indicate it's kind of like a marriage type card, like a commitment, a formal commitment. So that would be the Hierophant. That is card number 5. I actually like the decks that call him the High Priest, since he counters the High Priestess. But yeah, the Fool comes away out of the home, and he gets introduced into society and starts to learn about what teachers expect of him, what other people expect of him. Is he that type of thing? Okay, so from the Hierophant, the Fool comes across the Lovers. I like the Lovers card. So this is the traditional depiction of the lovers. We can see Adam and we can see Eve, and of course there's the snake and the temptation, right? And above them is the archangel. So the very basic traditional definition of the lovers, it used to be kind of like a love triangle, but it's a choice card. So it's basically, in this sense, you could look at it as, are you going to choose right or wrong, or temptation versus not? But I don't believe that's what it is. It's a choice kind of between your head and your heart. And when the Lovers comes up, it's telling you that you should follow your heart. You should think about the consequences, of course, but if your heart's telling you to do it, then you should do it. This is a blessing. Nowadays, the Lovers does represent love, union. So the Fool comes along, right? And he's come into society, and then he's going to come across, I guess, kind of like, the first temptation, the first person that he might have feelings for, and he's got to make a choice. Does he want to follow his heart, take that leap of faith, or does he want to be cautious? Because once you go into the Lovers, it's almost like going through here, there's no turning back. Once you've gone through a relationship of love with someone, you'll be forever changed. Just like, Adam and Eve were forever changed once they made that decision to bite from that apple. But you can see the angel here is giving blessing over the union. This can also, especially when paired with the Hierophant card, this too could also be indication of marriage or a more formal commitment. Okay, so from the Lovers, we're going to move over here. The Fool's going to come along into the Chariot. Okay, so in the Lovers, we have this desire, this love, and then we're going to move from that over here into the Chariot card. Chariot's interesting. Let's see, here's the Fool coming to it. Through the Lovers, through desire, the Fool has to learn self-control, self-discipline, right? Once, you have your hormones or your emotions and your feelings become involved, they can take over and your world can become very quickly unbalanced. And so the Chariot is here to show that you really need to learn how to harness the energy inside yourself and have that self-discipline and self-control. You have your heart versus your mind, like figuring out how to marry those two and kind of put them on a set course. The Chariot, you can see there's sphinxes that are opposite colors. So it represents like opposing forces. And you notice that the charioteer is in command of the sphinxes. There's no reins on them. He uses willpower, just like the magician. You can see he has the staff, just like the magician has. So just like, let me find the magician, just like the magician, okay? They both have wands and they both have willpower. They're very strong energies. And they, you know, where this one's, where the magician says, hey, you've got the tools to manifest what you want. Here's the Chariot saying, okay, go for it. Like this is forward movement. This represents travel. But it's finding the middle road between opposing energies, opposing forces, like finding that kind of goes along the lines that actually kind of matches up as I'm talking about this with Temperance. Temperance is number 14 because Temperance is all about like moderation. And I feel like the Chariot kind of has a little bit of that, is navigating, trying to find that middle path in between stuff around you that may be out of balance. It can actually represent actual travel, especially if it's paired with the World card. The World is another travel card. But yeah, you can see he's come across this water behind him. He's looking at you. He just looks powerful. He looks like he's got everything in control. He's able to, you know, take these opposing forces and get them to work in harmony, unite them. He's got a goal. He's got focus. So yeah, that is the Chariot. And then from the Chariot, so in most decks, the next card, number 8, is Strength. And Justice is number 11. However, there are some decks that swap it, and I'm one